Hello everyone. So in the last video we built out this page, which is the pay online page. And so in this video we're going to start with the send invoices, which is the, I think it is the / email invoice page, where we're going to build out this page, and it looks quite nice if I do say so myself. And so what I'm going to do is right away I'm just going to jump into VS Code, and then I'm going to go inside my source folder and inside my pages, and then we're going to create a new folder. So new folder, and I'm going to call this invoices. And then inside invoices, let me just check this out. How do I want to build this? I think this is going to be one section. And then this image probably, as well as this text all the way up to, I can even go all the way up to here, is going to be another component. And then we are going to do these tabs. So let me see. I think I'm going to start it like this. Let me just go into the invoices page. Where is it? Where is the invoice page? Send invoices, this one. Okay. So inside here, this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to open it, and then back inside my invoices folder that I've just created, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it hero.js. And then inside hero.js, I'm going to say RFC. And then once I have that, then I'm going to say this. What do we need? We need, this is only text, so we don't need any image. So this is only text. Let's return a section. And then this section is going to have a class name of radial gradient. And remember, radial gradient is a class that we created, which is going to add this background color. And then inside this section, we're going to have a div. And then inside this div, I'm going to have an h1 that says this. So let me just copy and paste it. And then below this h1, I'm going to have a paragraph that says this. So copy and paste it. And then below this paragraph, we have two buttons. So UL, let's create a UL with two list items, and then these are going to be buttons. And then the first one says sign up now. And the second one says contact us. So let's go ahead and save this. And then once we save it, then let's go ahead and render it inside our parent component, which is the send invoice. So inside here, I just want to render hero, which is coming from / invoices. Make sure it is the correct import. And then I'm going to save this. And then let me see, let me just check the path for the invoices. So / email invoice is the path. Let me just copy this. And then inside our application, we are going to navigate into the / email invoice, and we should be able to see our application. So let this just load in. And so once it loads in, you can see that we have our background color right here and the text that we've just created. So let's begin to style this out. First of all, I'm going to build it for mobile. So let me just shrink it down a bit. And then we are going to do this. Back inside our hero component, I'm going to go inside the div, give this a class name of padding on the y of 10. And then for large screens, I'm going to say padding on the y of 32. And then I'm going to say padding on the x of 8 for everything. And then I'm going to limit everything to a max width of about 4xl with an mx of auto, which is going to add an equal margin on the left and right so that everything pushes to the center. And then let me just say text center as well, so that all the text is going to be centered. There we go. And then let me say text white so that everything changes to white. There we go. Let's style this h1, give this a class name of font bold. Let's say text-4xl, and then for large screens, text-5xl, and then for 2xl screens, I'm going to say text-6xl. Give it a margin bottom of 10. Give this paragraph a class name of text-large, and let's set this for large screens only. Then give it a margin bottom of 10 as well to push it away from the buttons. And then for these buttons, then give it a class name, actually not on the UL but on the actual buttons. Let me give this a class name of padding on the y of 2, padding on the x of 6 with a rounded dash full with a border, and then a border color of white for this first button. And then you can just copy these classes here, and then by then let me change this to font bold. And then here let's also add font bold, but this one we don't want to have the border, so we don't want the border. But for this one, we want to have an underline when you hover over it. So on hover, let's have an underline. And then let me see, let's go inside this first list item, give this a class name of margin bottom of 4. And then let's save it. Let's see how it looks. And would you look at that? We have this looking nice, nice, nice. And you know what? Let me increase the padding Y here to 20. Okay, probably should reduce this margin. Let me say 6 here, and let me say 4 here. Think that is much better. Let's see. And this is how it looks. So let's just confirm something. Font bold, this is just a bit bolder and this is just a bit bigger in text, but we can have it as it is. Let me reduce the max width. So here, where's max width? Here, let's reduce it to 3XL. Let's work with that. And then let's see, what do we need to do? This is just a bit bigger. I don't want to add a fixed height. I'm really refraining from adding a fixed height. So let's do this. Let's increase the padding Y here to 52. Maybe a bit big, let's say 48. Let's work with the 48. I think let's work with 48. Actually, not 52 does seem like it's much better. So let's take it back to 52 and then let's see. Let's work with 52. And then let's add this orange border here. So let me go below this section. Let's create a div. And then inside this div, let me just grab this color using my extension here. Grab this color. And then inside my div, I'm going to give it a style. And I'm going to say background color. And then set it to this. And then I'm going to give this a class name. Or let me say height-2. And actually that should be it by there. Let me see. Height 2 is a bit too small. Let's say height 3. Yeah, height 3 should be fine. Or height 4. Yeah, let's work with height 4. That is okay. And then now let's go ahead and build out this entire next section. So let me just call this section 2. Let me create a new component here. So inside invoices, new file, let me call it section2.js. And then let's say RFC, just to render something on the screen so that you can render it inside here. Let's go ahead and render section 2 from invoices. Once again, make sure that you have the correct import so that you don't import a different file. And then let's save it. We should have section 2 here. And then the first thing that I want to do is inside section 2, let's go ahead and return a section. Let's return a section with a class of max width dash 6XL with an MX of auto, and then a padding Y of 10. And then for large screens, I'm going to say padding Y of 20. And then let's also have a padding on the X axis of 8 to push everything inwards. And then let this reload. Oh, I haven't saved it. Okay. So once it reloads, then we have this space here, which is our component. And then you can begin to build this out. So let's first of all add in this first image. And the image should be inside the images folder. And then inside the invoices. And what is it called? Device. Is it device load in, please? Doesn't want to load in. Let's just, I hope it is called device. So let me just go ahead and say import device from // and then images / invoices / device.png. PNG. Okay, and then let's go right inside here. Let's first have a div and then you can have the image. Really, the source for this image is going to be device, which you've just imported. The alt attribute, let me just say, let's say what, accept local and international payments. And then let's close it out. And then let's save it just to see whether we have the correct image. And there we go. So this is our image. Obviously, we're going to shrink it down just a bit, but let's just add in everything else first of all. So this is the first div, and then inside the second div, we're going to have an h2 that says this. And then below this, we're going to have a paragraph that says this. And then once we have that, we're going to create, let me see, actually, all of this, the way I downloaded it, this entire thing is one image, and the image should be called what? Logo.png. So right below this paragraph, I'm going to add in another image, and I'm just going to call it logo. The alt can remain empty, but let's import it. Let's copy this down. Let's say import logo, and then this is called logo.png. And then let's save it. Let's see what we have on the screen just to make sure that we're correct. There we go. So you can see that this entire thing is one image. And then once we have that, then let's go ahead and create this part, which is going to be another div. So let me just make sure that I'm going below this div. So below this div, I'm going to create another div with an h2 that says this. So 4 reasons to pay with data. And then below this, I'm going to create another div. These are becoming so many. But now each of these divs is going to have an article. And then these articles are going to be this one. So an h3 and then a paragraph. So it's an h3 here. Copy this. And then below this, we're going to have a paragraph that says this. So paste it here. And then let's have an article, another article. Let's copy it 3 more times. And then inside here, we're going to have an h3 that says this. And then below this, we have a paragraph that says this. Oops. Come on. Copy and paste. Add a space in between so that doesn't confuse me. Let's have an h3 and then a paragraph. And then inside here, let's have an h3 and then a paragraph. So here, get the correct one. So copy and paste. And then here, copy and paste. Really? Didn't copy. And then here, copy this and paste. And then copy this and paste. And there we go. So I'm going to save this, and we should have something on the screen. We should have all our articles here. That is looking nice, nice, nice. Now, the first thing that I want to do is this. I want to shrink it down to mobile size. And then what I want to do is I want to remove this top padding. So let's go back to the top. Let's reduce this top padding, and let's set this to be padding on the bottom only. So we don't have padding on the top, but we have padding on the bottom, as you can see with this space right here. And so what that will do is it will help me to move this image upwards, because I want to go inside this div and add a negative margin. So I'm going to give it a class name of minus margin top of 10, which is going to push the image upwards. Let's say 20, and it is even more upwards. And then just to make sure that everything is working correctly, let me check the mobile. Yeah, this works, right? This works. I mean, it doesn't overlay with anything. And let me check the 360. 360 also worked. Let me check which phone has the, I know the Galaxy Fold is quite small, but there's an iPhone that is 320. Is it no longer here? Okay, that's okay. That's what I wanted to check. And then now what we're going to do is on large screens, we want this to move even more upwards, right? So what we're going to say therefore is, let me just check where it starts moving. Like oh, wait a minute, it's because of this. So here, let's also set this to padding top. Oh, sorry, not padding top, padding bottom. Okay, there we go. So that this moves upwards even more. And then here we're going to say that for large screens, we're going to say minus margin top of 40, which is going to push it even more upwards. And then this is how it's going to look on large screens, but you want to reduce the size of this image. As you can see here, it is just a bit smaller. So inside this image, we're going to give this a class name, and we're going to say that for large screens. And I'm saying for large screens because on small screens, it looks small enough, so I don't want to shrink it too much. But on large screens right around here, that's when it becomes like overly big. So here I'm going to say give it a width of about, what, let me say 2/3 of the entire screen. Yeah, that works. And then let's say for large screens, make it a block element. And then for large screens, let's say MX Auto, so that it's going to center properly. That is looking nice, nice, nice. And that is it for this image. So now let's go ahead and move to this H2. So for the H2, I'm going to give it a class name, and I'm going to say text slate 800. and then text dash 3XL, and then for large screens text dash 4XL, and then margin bottom of 6, and then font dash light. And then I'm going to copy these class names and I'm going to paste them on the bottom H2. So save it, and this one and this next one should be styled correctly, and then I want the text to be centered, so text center here and text center, and these should move to the center. Nice. And then let's go inside this div, give this a class name of margin on the Y of 10 to push away from the image and from this bottom div. And then let's say that for large screens, then the margin Y should be 20 to increase this what is it called, margin even more. And this is just a bit smaller. Do I want to increase that? No, let's just work with 4XL. If I set it to 5XL, then it's going to be almost as big as the H1 up top, so I don't want to do that. And then let's limit all this. Let me see how it is. So this one is limited, and then the size of this image is also reduced. So let's go inside this div. Oops. Let's give this div a max width of 4XL and an MX of auto, which should limit it just a bit. Nice. And then let's go inside the paragraph. Let's give this paragraph a class name of margin bottom of 10 to push away from this. And then let's say text slate dash what, 600. So does that work even? I can't remember if I've been using a different color for the paragraphs. Can't remember. So since I can't remember, let me just remove it to be on the safe side. And then this needs to be centered, and then it needs to have a max width. So let's say text center and a max width dash large, and then MX auto so that it is centered properly. Large is too small. Let's say 2XL. Yeah, that's looking okay. That's looking okay. And then we need this to be larger on large screens. So let's say that for large screens, then the text should be large to increase it just a bit. And there we go. And then let's move on to this part. So this part is this div, and we're going to go inside this parent div and give it a class name, and let's say grid, and grid columns 1 to begin with a gap of 8. And then for medium screens, then the grid columns are going to be 2. And then for large screens, then the grid columns are going to be 4. And when I save it, then they should be aligned 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And then let's tell this H3, give this a class name of text slate 800, margin bottom of 4, and text dash large. And then let's copy these class names and paste them to the rest of these H3s. So here, and here, copy. And there we go. So we're going to have this, and oh wait a minute, that's it actually. That is actually it. And I just noticed that they changed the font. I don't know why they did that, but they changed the font. But anyway, we're still going to be using the one that we've been using all along. So that is it for this section. Just make sure that on small screens it looks okay and doesn't mess up with anything. As you can see, looking nice. And then what we're going to do is, let me see, let me create these other sections first, because I think this one is going to be, I mean, we can just do a bit of copying and pasting, but this is just a bit more technical. So let me create these other sections first. So let me call this sending invoices for this component. Let's create a new component here and call it sending invoices.js. And then let's say RFC. And then let's import the first image here. I think it should be icon 1. I can't remember well, but I think it should be icon 1. So let's say import icon 1 from // images / invoices / icon 1.png. And then let's say import 2 and 3. So 2 and 3, and then 2 and 3. And then let's return a section with a class of, let me see, this is white, so you can see class of padding on the Y of 10. And then for large screens, you can say padding on the Y of 20. And then let's say max width dash 6XL and an MX of auto. And then let's add padding on the X of 8. And then let me see, let's say text. Actually, the text is not centered, so let's remove this. So padding on the x of 8. And then inside here, you're going to have a div, which is going to be the parent for everything. But first, before this div, let's have an h2 that says this. Copy and paste. And then inside this div, we're going to have an article. And then this article is going to have an image that says icon1. And it's not going to have an alt attribute. But below this, we're going to have, let me see. We're going to have a ul. That's how I think I structured this kind of like structure that we did before. So li, and then inside this list item, we're going to have a span that says 1, and then the text is going to say this. So copy and paste it. And you know what, let me save this, and then we're going to style it out to see how it looks on the screen. And so let's go ahead and render this component. So below this, let's render sending invoices. I don't know what I was about to write there, but so sending invoices, and we should be able to see an image here. There we go. So we have our h2, and then we have this. So let's style this out. Give this h2 a class name of text, text dash 4xl, and then for large screens text dash 5xl, margin bottom of 10, text center, and text slate 800, and font light. That should be it. Okay, and then let's go inside this div, give this a class name of grid, and grid because we're going to add the second div here, and then the second article, and then the third article here. So grid, and then grid columns 1 with a gap of 8, and then for medium screens, then the grid columns are going to be 2, and then for large screens, then the grid columns are going to be 3. And then inside this image, we're going to give this a class name of block, and then mx auto, so that the image is centered. And then inside this span, we're going to give this a class name of, I can't remember what, but let me just try it. So padding on the y of 2, padding on the x of 4, and then rounded dash full with a border, and border dash slate dash 600. And then let me see, we need the list item to be a flex box so that you can add this gap here, and so that this text can be aligned to the start. So give this a class name of flex, and items start, and then let's give it a gap of about 3. That should be enough, I hope so. Let's save it. Let's see what you have. So padding on the y of 2, let's say padding on the x of 5 to make it just a bit more ordered. Doesn't work. Let's work with 4. And then let's go inside this ul, give this a class name of margin top of 4 to push away from the image. Let's say margin top 6. Okay, and then now we're going to copy this article once, and then twice, and then change this to 3, change this to 2, and then we're going to change this to icon 2, and then change this to icon 3, and then we need to change the text. So copy this text and paste it here, and then copy this text and paste it here. That should be it. So save it, and we should be able to see it on the screen. There we go. And then on small screens, this is how it looks. So you can see that grid comes into play, and then on small screens it looks like so. So that is looking nice. That is looking nice. So that is this section complete. Let me increase the margin on the bottom here on this h2. It's a bit too small. Let me say that for large screens, margin bottom 16. I think that is much better. And then let's go ahead and create this part. So convert estimates. Let me create a new file here called convert.js, and then I'm going to say rfc, and then here we're going to be using classes. So first of all, I'm going to create a section with a class of pay online hero, if you remember that class. And then we're going to have a div with a class of overlay, and then inside here we're going to have an h2 that says this. Copy and paste. Below this, we're going to have a paragraph that says this. Copy and paste. And why is this text so small? Oh wait, I'm zoomed out. When did I zoom out? Can't remember. Okay. And then let's do this. Let me grab this h2 and paragraph, and then let me paste them inside an article. I think that's a much better structure. And then here, let me add a custom class called convert hero so that we can actually change this background image, because if I save this and I go ahead and render the convert component, if I go ahead and render it, then you're going to see that it's going to render but with a different image. So we don't want this image. That's why I've added this second class. Where is it? That is why I've added this second class here, so you can change the image. So let's go ahead and do that. So inside our index CSS, let's go all the way to the bottom here. Let's say that for the convert dash hero, I want the background to come from URL from /images / invoices / oops, really, invoices / should be Shutterstock editorial. Let's set the background repeat to no repeat, and then let's set the position to center and cover, and that should be it. Actually, it should change the image. There we go. So now we have the correct image. And then once we have that, then let's go save it. Let's go inside this overlay class. Let's change it to a flexbox, and then items center and justify center. This should bring it here, correct? And the reason why it brings it here is because we are using this class, right? And then when we're styling this class, we also styled a class of overlay on it, which adds a fixed height. So that's why when you use flexbox, this comes to the center. So let me go ahead and let's tell this out for mobile first. Let's go ahead inside this div. Let's say padding on the X of 8 to push it inwards a bit. And then let's say text center. This is for mobile, obviously. So text center. And is it white in text? Can't remember. Where are you with this component? Wait, what? Oh, it doesn't show. Oh, the image doesn't show on mobile. Interesting. Interesting. The image doesn't show on mobile. Okay. But I'm going to have it show on mobile anyway because I like it. So let's go ahead and do this. We are going to say on mobile, I want this to move to the right so that you can actually see this guy here with his tablet or whatever. Wait. Why did you change convert hero? Why did you change? Why did you change? What? I want you to move to the right. What? Convert hero. What? Let me remove this class from here. Let me add a height of 500 pixels here. Height 500 pixels should now appear. Wait, what? What is the problem? Let me just check the console. What is the problem here? This is not showing. Why aren't you showing? Yet the image is there. What? Is there something I'm doing wrong? Is there something with the pay online hero class? Pay online hero. And it only brings this issue when he set it to the right. Why? Why? Let me say top. Let me see. So only center cover works. Is it something to do with CSS that I can't remember what? Can't seem to find it. So I know that you've most likely caught the problem as to why our image wasn't showing, and that is because I was changing the background size instead of changing the background position. So what I should have done is change this to right, and that would render the image correctly. I wasn't able to capture this when building the project, but it is only now during editing that I've been able to see that this is where the issue was. Okay, not. Let's do this. Let me remove the height from here, and let me go ahead and bring back this class of pay online hero so that it can apply the styles correctly. And then inside here, let's give this a class name of text slate 800, text 3XL, for large screens text 4XL, margin bottom of 6 to push away from this text, and we're going to have that. And then on large screens, I want this text to go to the left. So let's go ahead and say this. Let's say that here on large screens text left, where does that go? Here or here, because it is limited to 6XL, I think. And then once we have that, then inside this article, we're going to give this a class name of, let's say, max width. Let's say, let me set it to large screens, and then let's say max width dash large. How is that? Too small. Large max width dash. Actually, that is actually correct, but I needed to move here. So let me say, let's say for large screens, then let's say items dash start. What happens? No, I want justify start. Justify start. Bring it here. Okay, that is not what I wanted. Oh, wait, actually that is what I wanted. So that now I can give this a max width of 6XL. And that should bring it here. When I add an MX of auto, bring it here. There we go. There we go. So that is this section complete. And then now I can add in this part. So get paid by invoice. So let's create a new component here called get paid. Get paid.js. Let's say RFC. Let's render it inside here. Let's say get paid. And then let's go ahead and let me see what we have on the screen. We should only have get paid here. And then what we need to do is we need to add in this background color. So let's return a section with a class of radial gradient, with another class of padding on the y of 10, for large screens padding on the y of 20, and then padding on the x of 8 to push everything inward so it's not on the edge, like so. And then inside here we're going to have an article with an h2 that says this, and then below this we're going to have a ul, and this ul is the same as the top one that we have here. So let's just do a bit of copying and pasting. Let's go inside the hero. Let's grab this ul, copy and paste it here, and then let's tell this h2, give this a class name of text white, and then font light, and then text 4XL, and then for large screens text 5XL, and then margin bottom of 6. Then let's go inside this article. Actually not, yeah, inside this article give this a class name of text center, and then let's limit it. So let's give it a max. Actually, do we need to add a max width because the text is too small? Yeah, the text is so small, we don't need to add a max width. Wait, what? Why is this black? Did I not change the color for the buttons? Let's change it to text white here, and then copy this and paste it here. Okay. Oh, I know what happened. It's because in the hero we added text white on the parent. That's why. That is why. So inside here, let's see, we needed to get paid by invoice today and get paid by invoice today. Actually, that's it. All we need to do is just increase the margin bottom here. So inside our get paid, let's go inside the h2, let's increase this to 10. Yeah, that actually works. So just to 10, it is fine. And then next we have looking for another solution, and then this part. And so I'm thinking, because this part is only text and no functionality is implemented, then I can just add it inside this get paid component. So right below this section, I can create another section with a class of bg slate 100, and then I can add in margin bottom of about 20 to push away from the footer to add in this space, and then let's say padding on the y of 10, and then for large screens padding on the y of 20, and then let's have padding on the x of 8, and then inside here we're going to have an article, and then this article is going to have a class name, and let's say max width dash 6xl, and then let's say mx auto to center it properly, and then below this we are going to have an h2 that says this, so copy and paste, and then below this we're going to have a paragraph that says this, and then below this paragraph we're going to have a button, and I do realize that this is a link, but I'm creating it to be a button, and then I'm going to style it out to look like a link. So class name, let's say sorry, not bg, text blue 600, and then on hover we're going to have underline, and then let's say font bold, and then let's go inside this paragraph, give this a class name of margin bottom of 4, and then this h2, as not, let me just copy the styles for this one, copy and paste them here, and then change this into text slate 800, and we should save it, and that should be fine. Let's see, should appear here, and then we'll need this to move to the center. So inside this section, let's say text center for everything, and it should move here. Nice. And then we need this to be bigger. So inside this paragraph, let's say that for large screens, then text dash large, and then let's do the same for this button so that it is also enlarged on large screens, just a bit bigger. Okay, and that is this section complete. I'm not going to build this out. You can do it by yourself. And so what we're going to do now is this section, so how it works. So we're going to create a new component here called how it works.js, and then I'm going to say rfc, and then save it, and then I'm going to render it above. It comes before which section? It comes below this one, so how it works, and we should see how it works right here. So let's begin to build it out. Let's see how it looks. First of all, we need the radial gradient. So how it works, we're going to return a div. We're going to return a section with a class of radial dash gradient with a class of padding y of 10. Then for large screens, padding y of 20, and then padding on the x of 8. Let's see, and then we're going to have an h2 that says how it works for your customers. And then below this h2, we're going to have a div, which is going to be the rest of this component. So this is how we're going to build this out. First of all, we're going to need to import our state values. So use state. So we're going to need to import the use state hook, not import our state values. And then we can create our state values. Here I can just say cards, and then this is going to be equal to use state. And then by default, I think it's going to be some piece of data that we're going to create. And then we're going to have another one called value. So value, oh my god, what am I typing? Value and set value. This is going to be equal to use state, and by default it's going to be 0, meaning the first item, and the logic still remains the same. Remember how we did it in the previous video or on the previous page, how we built this out. So this is just going to be the same logic as this one. So send invoices, and then now what we're going to do is this. I'm going to say this, let me see, we need to create our data. So let me go ahead and create our data. So inside our data folder, we have a data folder here. We have a data.js file, and we're just going to go below this, and I'm going to say export const how it works, and then this is going to be equal to an array of objects, and it's going to have a description, and the description is going to be this. You can create data. Oops, this needs to be a string. And then below this, we're going to have an image. So basically, even the structure for the data is the same as the one for the previous video. And this is going to come in from /images /invoices / I think it is step1 step-1.png. Okay, and then we need this arrow icon, but you can add in we can add this in manually. You don't have to add it in here. So let's go ahead and copy this 3 more times. So let's say 1 2 3, and then we're going to change this to step 2, change this to step 3, and then this to step 4. And then we need to change the text here, so copy this and paste it here, and then copy this, copy and paste it here. Oops. And then copy this and paste it here. Okay, and then now what you need to do is, just like in the previous video, we need to move out these 4 images from here and paste them inside the public folder. So inside the public folder, inside the images, we're going to create a new folder called invoices, and then we're going to paste in our 4 images so that this actually works. So now you're going to save it, and then now card state value here is going to be initialized to how it works data, which when I click enter, it's going to be imported here. So make sure that you import it correctly. And then now what we're going to do is this. Let me see. I'm trying to remember the logic. It is disappearing from my mind. So what we need to do is we need to get the image, destructure the image from the data that we have created, and then we're going to set it equal to cards of value, meaning set it equal to the first card. And then now if I try to render the image here, if I try to render image, then what we should see on the screen is the first image only, this one. And if I change this to 1, we should see the second image. Okay, so you can see that the logic is working correctly. The logic is working correctly. So now what we need to do is not this, but we need to first go ahead and create an article. And this article is going to be, first of all, this left side. And then we're going to create another article, which is going to be, article, which is going to be the image on the right. So inside here, we can render the image. We can render the image that we have destructured, okay? And then now we can go inside this div, give this a class name, and say grid, and grid columns 1 with a gap of 8. And then for medium screens, you can say grid columns 2. And then let me just render an h2 here that says lorem 5, just so that you can see how everything is looking. So it's going to look like this. And then of course we need to limit this. Why does this go to the end? Why is this here? Why are you here? Oh, I haven't placed a max width here. So let's go ahead inside this div. Let's give it a max width of about 6xl and mx auto, which should limit it to about here. And oh, this is outside, so we need to add in these classes on the h2. Class name goes to this. This should bring it here to this, not to the center but here, and then change it to text white and text dash 4xl, and then for large screens text dash 5xl, and then margin bottom of 8, and let's say font dash light, and then let me reduce this. Come on, let me reduce this to 4xl. That is not what I wanted. Let me just have it at 6xl and then reduce this to 4xl and then this to 3xl. Okay, this is too small, I think. Yeah, that is too small. So let me just undo, and then let me reduce this to 5xl, and then no, what am I doing? Reduce this to 6xl, but reduce the width. So let me say that for large screens the width of the h2 should be about, let me say 96. Let me see if that is going to work. That looks horrible. Looks horrible. Let me just have it as this for a moment. I don't want to dwell on that so much. Let me increase the margin bottom here. So let me say that for large screens margin bottom should be 16 to push it even more downwards. We're going to have that. Okay, and then now now we need to go into the technical part of it, and how we're going to do that is inside this article we're going to remove this h2, and then we're going to map over our cards data. So cards.map, and then for every object that we get back, we're calling it card. I also want to get back the index, and then now inside this I want to return a ul. Sorry, what? No, I don't want to return a UL. I want to return a list item with the key of index. And then inside this list item, we're going to have a span that says index plus 1. So remember the logic for the last one, because arrays are indexed from 0. So when you add 0 plus 1, it starts from 1 here, so that you can have 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of 0, 1, 2, 3. And then once we have that, then the text is going to say card dot description, so desk, which we have inside here. And then let me see. Now inside here, instead of returning an article, I want to return a UL, so that this structure actually makes sense. So UL, and then we have list items inside. And then let's save it. We should see something here. Okay, so we have that. Oh, we need the image at the end. Remember the arrow image that we have here? We can add that in. I think I also downloaded it. So let me say invoices, and it should be what? Oh, I don't have the arrow. Oh, oops. I thought I had it in. Let me just get it real quick. Okay, so you know what? I've just realized that I can't really download this image. I don't know why, but I'm unable to download it. So you know what? Let's just work with what we have inside here. The way you would add in this arrow image is you would just go like to the end of this, and then add in an image here, and then add in your arrow image. So that is basically how you would add it in. It's nothing too difficult. Okay, so let me go ahead and save this, and then we're going to have this on the screen. So let's begin to style it out, because we need it to look like this. So let's go ahead and say that for this span, give this a class name of padding on the Y of 2, padding on the X of 4, and rounded dash full with a border, and then border dash white. That should be it. Let's see how it looks. Those are our thingies, and then let's go inside this list item, give this a class name of flex and items dash start, and then give it a gap of 3 so that this stops behaving like this. There we go. And then let's go inside the UL, give this a class name of flex and flex dash column, and then items dash start with a gap of, let's say, 4, push away from one another. Let's say gap of 6, that it is pushed out even further. And then let's say text white. Actually not, that's a bad idea. Having text white here is a bad idea, because if you look at the way this looks like, oh wait, it's actually not a bad idea, because all of this text is white. It's only that the one that is active now becomes bold. So having text white here is okay. So let's just have text white. So save it, changes to white. Nice. And then we need the text to be larger. So let's go inside this list item, and then let's say that for large screens the text should be large. I don't know whether it's going to mess up with the numbers. It does just a bit, right? So let's remove it from here, and then let's add it. Oh, wait a minute. I can't because this cast description is inside the list item. So probably what we would do is we'd say that for large screens, therefore then the padding Y should be 3. And then here we're going to say that for large screens and the padding X should be 6. That should fix it. Yeah, that fixes it. Let me say 5 here. I don't know. Probably we should be adding this as our own custom classes so that we can have a bit more control over the widths and heights. But this works anyway, so let's just have it in. And then let's go inside the list items, and then let's have a cursor of pointer, so that when you hover over them, then the cursor is going to be pointer wherever you're hovering over them, which means that they are clickable. So that is the basic what's it called, layout of all of this. And then let's reduce the width of this image just a bit. So let me say give this a class name, then let's say give it a class name of block and mx auto, and then for large screens make the width to be 2/3. That should be fine. Actually that's too small. Let's say 9/12, which is 75%, and then let's work with that. So 2/3, let's just make sure that on small screens it also behaves correctly. Okay, so we have that. Now we need to have the click event. So we're going to go inside the list items. So right below this, we're going to say that on click, when you click on this, then we want to create our inline function, and we're going to say set value into the index of the item that we click on, meaning change this value, which is going to change the image. So save this, and then when I click on 2, the image changes, and 3 and 4. So our functionality is working. What we need to do now is when I click on the item here, then we should change the font to bold to show that this is the one that is currently being clicked on or currently being viewed. So how we're going to do that is this. I'm going to wait for that card to pass first of all, and then I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to grab all of these classes, cut them out, and then I'm going to add in my curly brackets with my backticks, and then I'm going to paste in these classes, and then we're going to have, let me see, $sign, and then this, so that we can add in variables inside our classes. And we're going to say that when the value is equal to the index is true, then we want to add a class called font bold. And I hope this works. So let's save it. Let's try it. And there we go. You can see that now this is bold in font. And when I click on this, it now becomes bold. So that is correct. Looking nice, 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 nice. And that is actually all the functionality for this page. And oh wait, that is the entire page. That is the entire page. Fantastic. So that is the entire page complete. And in the next video, we're going to begin with the freelancers page, which is this one right here. Let me take a look. It doesn't have, we're going to reuse this component. I don't know whether you remember, we created it in the first video. And yeah, it doesn't have any technicality to it, but that is the one that we're going to begin it in the next video. So see you in the next video.